And welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming along to this special Challenge Plus monthly webinar. And we've got a really, really awesome session lined up for you. Something a bit different this month, mainly because I think it is so darn important. So important that I was actually had an article in the Sydney Morning Herald and the Fairfax newspapers here in Australia today, which is quite lovely. But you'll notice down the bottom here, they asked me for my big top 5 tips, and you'll notice that the number 1 is get a Facebook page. But something that's even more interesting than that, well, that's darn interesting, as I will show you throughout this call. But what's even more fascinating to me is what's going on down this right-hand side with Facebook advertising. And as you guys know, we really like to deal with experts in this area. Somebody who's not an expert in this area, in fact, who's a, well, rapidly turning Facebook skeptic, of course, is Guru Bob, and we have him on the call. Welcome.
Welcome. I am humbled to be sitting next to the Sydney Morning Herald's #1 social media expert.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's always been to be nice that Fairfax is saying something nice about me. It's lovely, really. But most importantly, forget us two, because we're really, really super excited to have Jennifer Sheehan joining us. So welcome, Jen.
Hello.
And Jen has been really leading the charge at what's very important. Let me bring back my ads here. Working with her organisation, Facebook Labs, to basically run Facebook pay-per-click, something that we've been extremely excited about, and has really, over the last 12 months in particular, really come into its own as a genuine alternative to Google pay-per-click. Very, very different animals, as we'll go on to talk about, but it is a really legitimate comment, and I think it's just so exciting for all of us as information marketers to have options, because when Google was the only game in town, well, we all have suffered Google slaps and know how they tend to treat people. But with another game in town, I think it's not a matter of who's going to win. I don't think there's only going to be one here, but having two alternatives is just fantastic. And even though we spend a lot of time talking about SEO and getting organic traffic with backlinks and so on, we seem to be going on about that all the time, there is no question that a solid pay-per-click strategy is crucial to, if I look at all the businesses I know that are making $100,000 plus online, I'd be hard-pressed to find one that isn't using pay-per-click. And, of course, in Challenge Plus, we have brought you a completely up-to-date course from Pete Williams on Google and Google pay-per-click. And now we have PPC Mum on Jen Sheehan, and she is going to be doing exactly the same thing for us with Facebook pay-per-click. So it's really exciting for that to happen. But before we get on to that, Jen, can I just ask you, because I always like to ask how people started, because everybody starts somewhere, and I'd be very interested to hear how you ended up there. But where did you start?
Well, I started a couple of years ago, and like most people who start making money online or who start a blog, I didn't really know much to start off with. I wasn't really confident, and I didn't understand much about really anything. I didn't have a blog. I had a Gmail account, but that was about it. So what I did was I found the book, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and I read that in a couple of days. Like, it really, really resonated with me, and I felt I could do this. I read the information that he has to share there about creating an information product and how you can create your own information product and sell it online. And I thought, oh, this is fantastic. Like, I'm going to do this. So I did it, and I made this hideous website, which I can laugh about now, but it converted. And I remember the day that I got my very first sale of my ebook, and I was jumping up and down because this woman in Tennessee bought my ebook. And then it just took off. So my ebook started selling, and I got several copies of it sold every single day. And my only problem was getting more traffic, and that led me to Google AdWords and pay-per-click, because I didn't have. I had just started my blog, so I had no time to, for SEO. I didn't even know what SEO was, or article marketing, or any of that sort of stuff. So I went to Google pay-per-click and instantly I fell in love with the instant results that you can create an ad and within minutes people are visiting your website and you can see what they click on and what they don't and what they like and what they don't, and you can make adjustments accordingly. So that was my start, and it was a couple of months later that I went into another forum where I was learning very hardcore PPC affiliate marketing techniques, and that's where I was introduced to Facebook, and that transformed the direction of my online journey.
So tell us about the first, because from an internet marketing perspective, Facebook has just had such a bad rap. I may have had something to do with that, in the sense that we just stuffed it up. I mean, we really well and truly completely missed the point and used it completely the wrong way. So how did you get past that, and why were you using Facebook, like, to keep up with family? How did you get over that initial, cynicism basically by the entire internet marketing community about Facebook's usefulness back in those days?
Well, I mean, as the dollars speak for themselves, it was very clear to me at the time. I had a Facebook profile for my family, and I kept it at that. And at that time, I didn't have a whole lot of friends in the internet marketing industry anyway, because I was purely focused on getting results. It wasn't trying to, make friends or anything like that. I was like trying to replace my income and my husband's income, and I had a very clear goal. So I was simply using the Facebook pay-per-click ads platform for business purposes, just like I was using Google AdWords for business purposes. Yeah. But then I very quickly realized the power. Like if you set up an ad today and you send them to an affiliate link, and you're not building a list from that, you pay for that click, and if the person doesn't buy, you've lost them forever. So then I started to realize, wow, there's a whole lot of power in building a list. So that's when I found out about Aweber and started building a list. And then from there, it grew into building a blog. And then I thought, well, why am I going to all this trouble building lists and blogs and all this other stuff when Facebook has it all right there within their platform? So now I have another option, which is not only the Aweber list and the blog and now I have a Facebook fan page. Mm-hmm. So I have another alternative, and so it feels to those customers that I'm everywhere. I have a fan page, and I'm on an ad, and I have a blog, and I have affiliate products, and it's very quickly you can build a range of products. I'm not sure I'm explaining myself really well, but that power was apparent to me very early. So I kind of ignored all the expert advice, and I thought, good, I'm glad everybody else thinks Facebook is bad, because it's
Thank goodness.
For me.
Now let me ask you about that, because it frustrated the heck out of me that, and it's actually, we're still in the midst of it right now. There are a lot of products and services out there that are effectively basically trying to replicate what they did with Google pay-per-click on Facebook pay-per-click. Now, you made your first dollars using Google pay-per-click. Yep. What to you are the big differences between Google pay-per-click and Facebook pay-per-click?
It's a completely different thing, and the only similarity is pay-per-click. That's really it. If you do have a successful Google AdWords campaign, you have a much higher proportion of success in Facebook, because that tells me that your landing page converts and your product is actually something people want. So that's a good sign if you have a really good pay-per-click campaign going. But you can't just take that Google pay-per-click ad, that great performing ad in Google, and bring it to Facebook, because it doesn't work. Because at Facebook, the difference is people are playing Mafia Wars. They're there to, look at their family's pictures and videos and comment on people's, Christmas posts or whatever. They're not searching directly for a solution to a problem like they are in Google. So the way that you approach your marketing needs to be completely different with Facebook. And you've got to meet them where they're at. Understand that they're there having fun, so your ads should be fun. They're there hanging out with family and talking about their interests and their problems in their life. So your ad needs to gel with that in order to get their attention.
Absolutely. And so what about the demographic nature of these ads? I'm just bringing up some Facebook ads here. Like you can see, I've got just looking at my fan page here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 ads that are popped up, and the first one is Fan Page Engine, so that's pretty accurate.
Yep.
The next one is Harpreet Singh. Have you joined his fan page? If not, and he's $1 million something or another. He's had 177 people like his actual ad, which is again another interesting element of this whole thing, is that people can vote on the ads. You have no option to do so on Google, which is very, very interesting indeed. Plot Studio, which is interesting, the architectural design and interiors practice based in Sydney, Australia, so at least they know I'm from Australia, although the demographic targeting of that could be sharpened up, I suspect, if Jen was doing it. And then I've got How Do I Get More Likes? So talk to us about because this is, to me, is where it really cuts. As you say, Google is all about the phrase. Nothing exists in Google until you type a phrase into that search engine, which means you are searching for that. And that, I think this goes, and I think Pete Williams touched on this too, when he was saying, people are directly searching for a piece of information. So that's the power of Google in that sense. Here, they're not going on Facebook to search for information. They're going to interact with their community. And that's a very dry way of saying Joe and Jane Smith are going on there to see. I don't know if you guys were watching before. I was having a look at my brother, probably drinking too much in London. And my niece, not drinking too much, she wasn't drinking too much, but going to a Jack Johnson concert and getting rained on, which was hilarious. So I'm getting all of these, I'm there to interact with the people I know and love and my family and friends. So, Jen, take us through demographics and what that means, and maybe even, I don't know, use an example like because, your day job, if we fast forward now, and I had FB Labs up there, Ad Labs up on screen, you are working with businesses day to day. So explain to us about demographics as opposed to Google's phrase, and then maybe give us a couple of examples of how you would use that.
Sure, absolutely. So with Facebook ads, you can specifically target people based on the country that they live in, the state, or the city. So you can get very, very specific. You can target people who live within 5 kilometers of Melbourne. So if you have a local business, it's fantastic for that, because you can target people like a local coffee shop, for example. You could target customers who live near you or who are accessing the internet from within a few miles of your shop. So it's really powerful in that regard. So location targeting is really good. The other thing you can do is target them by their age, gender, marital status, education, workplace, and a combination of these things means that theoretically, you could put a whole bunch of these different targeting options together and target a very small number of people with an ad. Like I remember once you mentioned that you could create an ad targeting Telstra employees.
That's right.
And it's true. You could, and it would work because it grabs their attention. If you're browsing your page and you see all of a sudden a unique offer for Telstra employees only, and you're a Telstra employee, chances are you're going to click on it. You're like, oh, wow, this is different. This is unique. It grabs people's attention. So I really encourage people, when they're doing Facebook ads, to really think outside the square and find ways to be creative with that targeting. So you can also target, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, I'll throw to Rob as well. And how do likes come into this now, Jen, too, when it comes to demographic information?
Yeah, well, this is changing, and it's one of the things that is really tricky with Facebook is that things change all the time. So I'm sure you're aware of that, but every week, Facebook changed the rules. So what was working a couple of weeks ago is not necessarily working now, and they constantly change what you can and cannot do. One of the things that they've just changed is the new profiles. So there's a whole new profile design, and when you go to update your profile, you will see there are prompts everywhere for you to add more information to your profile.
Yes, I'm just showing that on screen for people.
Yes, which is very powerful for marketers. So they, in several different places there, they offer you, edit your profile here and add this there and change this. And the more information people add in their profiles, the more information we have as marketers to target our ads to them. So when you're creating an ad in the advertising section of Facebook, there's a section there called likes and interests. And you can start typing a keyword phrase or the name of a person or the name of a product or the name of a hobby into that area, and you'll get a drop-down box with similar phrases that you can then select and target. So one example might be if you, say you have a product and you, like I mentioned earlier, you're a coffee shop, a local coffee shop. You can target people who like coffee, who like espresso, who like different types of coffee. You can also target people who like your competitors. And that's a very powerful way of doing it. So let's say you were a coffee shop, you might want to target people who like Starbucks. And you already know that people who like Starbucks also like coffee. So your creative marketing could be to target people who are fans of Starbucks.
Jen, it's Guru Bob here. Looking at the ads themselves, there's obviously a very clear differentiator between Facebook and Google in the sense that a Facebook ad has an image and it has text.
Yes.
Intuitively, to me, not knowing much about Facebook advertising itself, the image is the thing which grabs someone's attention, I assume, and the text is what gets someone to click on the ad itself. Can you comment on whether that assumption is correct, and also, how you might sort of manipulate those two elements, the graphic element and the text element of the ad, to achieve the the desired outcome?
Absolutely. It's a common idea to think that the image is what grabs their attention. However, what I have found is the image is what grabs their attention and also what gets them to click. And I've tested this several times with by testing ad copy that doesn't actually make any sense. And if I still use the same image or even a different language in the ad copy, that same image still gets a lot of clicks. So I know that might seem odd, but the image is a huge, huge portion of your success or failure. And I repeat this over and over and over again. Your image will make or break your campaign. So knowing that, it's really important to understand what kind of images you can use. If you look at your Facebook, pardon?
Sorry, Jen, I was just going to make a joke because on my screen as we speak, somebody hasn't been doing their demographic targeting so well, because I've got Marry Me Microsoft as an ad, help a groom in need as he plans his wedding solo from a bachelor bubble. It's a Windows Australia-like campaign ad, so that's just totally offended me. But anyway, sorry, I digress. Keep going.
I hope you can, have a glass of water and calm down. So you can have a look at your profile and see the images. It's full of images. Yes. And so is everyone else's profile. So if you're going to stand out from the crowd, looking at these you've got on the screen now is a perfect example. Have a look at those. Now, would you want to click? Do those images draw your attention in? I mean, how about that second one? Like from here, I can't even see.
Hot Studio is a photo. I think it's a screenshot of their website, and it's horrible. Like the dude with the question mark, or the lady with on fan page engine.
Yep.
And make presentations there, which is probably actually not badly targeted for me. Actually, is again the image is very static and dead. Yeah.
Yeah. So people work really well, like, in general. Like if across all demographics, across all age groups, across everyone, men and women convert best. So images of women. Happy women, smiling women, women from the waist up, women with direct eye contact to the camera, they convert best. So if you're going to do anything, get a picture of a woman who looks happy and is looking directly at the camera, no matter what your market, no matter who your demographic is. And chances are she will convert quite well.
I was going to say that I'm noticing a lot of female pictures Jen, and I was wondering if that was, does that work across the board, both sexes, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, yes. If you think about it, I mean, women's magazines are all full of women.
Yes, that's true. Absolutely.
So are you saying that it's mostly women that click on the ads then, or is that,
No, men and women. So it depends on who you're targeting. I recommend that you, when you're creating your ads, that you target one group, one gender over another. So you create one ad for men and one ad for women and have them be separate ads, because then you can track them separately and you'll see if the men are clicking on the ad or the women. If you lump them both into one campaign, then you're not sure if it's men or women clicking.
Yeah.
It gives you a lot more data to move forward.
And is that a key element of these, like one of the things that people really stuff up bluntly when it comes to a Facebook campaign, is that they try to catch everybody instead of really taking advantage of the nature? Perhaps maybe describe a typical, not necessarily what the business is, but typically how many ads you would potentially run, or how many different separate ads would you run? Do you go very granular in the demographics where the business requires it?
Yes, absolutely. And the more granular, the better the profits. And so what we do for our clients is we set up a range of, we start with about 10 different ads. So I choose 10 images that are completely unique for that client, and we test one ad copy with 10 images. And my first goal with a new client is to find the best image for their campaign, or the best set of images for their campaign. And I start very narrow with that because I want to make sure that I'm appealing to the exact target market of our client. So I start really narrow with a very low campaign budget. I'm talking $10 a day, $15 a day, and I bid a very low. So we recommend 25 cents, 30 cents, something like that. Now Facebook will recommend that you pay $1.75, but or $1.80 or something per click, and we ignore that, and we just bid in. We put what we want, and so, most of the time,
Facebook's not at the same level as Google at the moment, where there's not necessarily quality score indicators. So you'll still get, it's like the good old days in a sense that if you tell it I'm only prepared to pay this, you'll still get some traffic.
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Okay. But it's worth a try, because if you bid $2 a click and you get impressions, that's one way, but you'll never know what would have happened if you bid 25 cents. You might have gotten impressions then too.
Yep.
And so you're saving yourself $1.75 per click.
Jen, whilst I certainly agree with you that probably there's a large group of people who go to Facebook and only look at their Facebook profile, which is their interactions with family and friends. But of course, as we suggest to our users that you create a specific fan pages, I suspect that there are certain fan pages that also have a much more of a business focus, a product focus, or a service focus. Now, those fan pages also have ads on them. So is it possible to target fan pages with a more of a business message, as distinct from personal pages where you have to perhaps use different strategies to attract that person's interest?
Well, your ads will show up on fan pages and profiles alike, so you can't set it to appear only on a particular fan page, but you can target, in some cases, you can target people who like that person or that product.
This is devastating. Just let's focus on this for a second, Jen, because I think this is the thing that really, really, really sets apart Google and Facebook pay-per-click, and really should get, for the savvy marketer, what an incredible opportunity it is. I've actually got MasterChef Australia's fan page on there, and I got this up there for two reasons. One is because I love MasterChef, and Junior MasterChef in particular was totally awesome. But most importantly, I want you to see that the ads here do not, if this was a Google page, what would the ads be about? They would be about chefs or chef trainee courses or whatever. It's me, it's Ed Dale looking at this. I'm logged in at Facebook, so it's Ed Dale looking at this Facebook fan page, which I might add brilliantly and in almost genius-like fashion. It's almost impossible, if you've been following along on as we've been talking about this, it's almost impossible to tell when I'm on a fan page or on a profile, because deliberately Facebook have made sure that it does that. So it's very important for you guys to understand that this is a MasterChef Australia fan page, and I think as companies are promoting their fan pages more and more, people are going to search for information on stuff. But the ads, and this is so crucial, look at these ads. Fan page engine, love classical guitar, local internet marketing help, and good old plot studio.
Because that's tied to your demographic.
That's tied to me.
Yeah, but although, and I know this doesn't exist now, Jen, but to me this is like the content network in Google. It doesn't exist yet in Facebook, but I think
10 times better, because the ads are about me, not about the page. So these ads, and if people have been following along all the while Jen's been talking, I've just been skipping through pages to prove the point that these ads are following me, which is great. And they're damn good targeting. You know, if people are classical guitar, am I interested in guitar? Yes. If I go to my profile, you'll see, sure enough, if I flick over here, you know, if I go into my likes area, that I will, you know, I've got my, you know, see if I edit my profile here, you know, you'll see all of the things that I like, the movies, the books, the music, my activities and interests. Funnily enough, guitar. You know, so it's there. And look at all these other pages that I've liked and that people can take. And I was speaking to Danny Batalik, and of course he was doing a buying and selling thing. So what ad buy did he do? He bought a campaign based on everybody who likes Ed Dale. Are you listening to this, people? This is why you can't ignore Facebook anymore, because the way you can leverage other people's marketing by, you know, you just think smart. The people who are likely to like Ed Dale, I really shouldn't be saying this, I should be using some other example, they're going to be interested in certain things. And that is a great way to target people. It is a phenomenal way to create a campaign. And because Facebook doesn't, they don't penalize you for the number of campaigns, Jen, do they?
No, not at all.
So you can really get, in fact, I might start a campaign on Danny Batalik and just say, do you like hamsters? You know, people who like gerbils. Rob, get me out of this line of communication.
Yes, we'll move on. Safer ground.
Yes.
But, Jen, I heard a rumor that Facebook is, regardless of bid, Facebook is likely to prioritize ads that point to a Facebook link rather than a link to an external website. Can you comment on whether that's true and also what the implications of that might be?
Okay, I can't say from a Facebook perspective whether it's true or not. I can only tell you what we've discovered in our testing over the last 8 weeks. We've been really spending a lot of time and effort testing this. And I can tell you that our results consistently confirm exactly what you've said. That if you provide an ad for an external website, your ad will show lower and less often than an ad for a fan page.
Yeah.
So
they want to. It makes so much sense, doesn't it, Jen? You know,
well, from a Facebook perspective, it's genius, because they're getting people like us to pay to send traffic from one of their pages to another.
Yes.
Yeah. How good is
that?
You
know, and I used to, and there's probably blog posts out there by me about 8 months ago telling people don't pay to send traffic to a fan page, but now I have to eat those words, because if your fan page is optimized to accept that paid traffic, and I'll explain what I mean by that. If your fan page is optimized to accept that and maximize it, then it is a very wise move, and I'm definitely recommending everyone have a fan page of any kind now. Now, you can have a number of fan pages. You're not limited to 1 or 2 or 3. You could have 25 fan pages if you want, and it's very smart. You can build a fan page around a topic, or you can build a fan page around a business. So you can use a product name, a person's name, a service name, or an idea. So just be careful if you build a page around an idea, it's very possible that Facebook could take that away from you. They can it can claim it as a community page. So like if you started a fan page like I love cheeseburgers, it's possible that Facebook could say, well, you know, you're not promoting a business there. This is the ideas. This is for a business.
Absolutely.
So,
Let's talk about the Facebook fan page, because I agree with you, Jen. It's the peanut butter to somebody's jelly, I think, when it comes to Facebook. I think, you know, more and more, I think there'll be heavy penalties, in my view, at some point when you go, if you try to drag traffic outside of the Facebook ecosystem. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what
yeah.
I would want to keep you there. And I think, you know, we've done all right, and Rob has really got this level of thinking, you know, what would Google do? What would Google want? And it's the same thing with Facebook. What would Facebook want? Just to push people over the edge to realize that today, if they haven't got their fan page, for them as an individual, more importantly for their products and their niche, what you're seeing at the moment on the screen, and I should say too that there is the questions section. You can submit questions live here on the seminar. We'd love to answer them a bit later on. So I'll put a plug in for the questions area as well. So if there's something there that if a question you would like us to tackle a bit later on, love to do that too. So that's in your go-to webinar. But here's the point I want to make, and this really, and people who've been following me know that over the last 2 weeks I've been on a frenzy of testing and so on, because I had done something very bad and very wrong with my Facebook page. I've had a Facebook page as long as they've existed, longer than most people. The day they were announced, I put up a Facebook page. And honestly, not that exciting. Hasn't done much, but I've made basically what I'd done is that anytime I updated my blog, I used an automated I used the Magnificent Posteress to effectively update my fan page. And really, that meant that, well, anyway, I just wasn't impressed. Like, there was no real traffic to my Facebook fan page. I didn't promote it in any way. I didn't do anything. Okay. Now, I had this idea that it was, what would happen if I just started actually updating my content? Because what happened was, and this is so funny, you manage measurement and management. How powerful is that? Facebook, again, in a stroke of pure genius. If you guys can see this, let me even highlight it for you. Now, I only did this post this morning, but you can see that it says post insights not available yet. Please check back later. What I want to show you is, we'll go back to, here we are. This is one I did 16 hours ago. Once I started manually updating my page, like physically going into my page and updating it, look at this traffic, people. 4,473 impressions. That means that stat has physically appeared on 4,473 profiles throughout Facebook. So 4,473 people have at least seen the headline and seen the message. And as you can see, 0.2% of people have actually interacted. I looked at these numbers and I was just absolutely gobsmacked. I could not believe it. Like, that is immense. Like, if I've allegedly got somewhere around 40,000 Twitter follower marks, which I emphasize most of my market leadership through Twitter, and I get nothing like that. Nothing, and it doesn't even become within cooee of this. And if you have a look yesterday, then, you know, if you start having a look at these, let me just blow up these yesterday. You know, yesterday, 29,472 daily post views. Now, my blog does okay, but that's approximately 10 times the views. 10 times. As Halbert would beat into me with a big stick, is you go where, forget your prejudice, forget whatever, you go where the crowds are. And when I see that 1 in 4 page views on the internet in the United States is Facebook, I'm over to Facebook. And it's a matter of figuring it out. And it's a matter of working it out. as a market leadership platform, it is absolutely phenomenal. But let me look, because you guys wouldn't get the chance to see these. So just look at these numbers so you understand that this isn't me being, having this massive following or anything. This is not special or unique to me. And Jen, I'd love you to back me up on this. Now I've got 7,423 people who have liked the page, which is nice. Since that was 2 weeks ago, 5,000. Actually, probably 4,500, because I had put no focus. I hadn't done anything. I hadn't updated. I was neglecting it. I was treating it like a little outpost of the Ed Dale market leadership empire. And frankly, Facebook, being so clever, gave me the respect back that I deserved, aka nothing. Nothing. There was no way to. Can you see how you can like, comment, share, and of course, if you are the admin of the page, you can actually promote, and you can actually promote individual posts. And you can, look at the craziness of the targeting that you can see here. Look at this: who live in Australia, age 18 or older, who are not already connected to Ed Dale, whose friends are already connected to Ed Dale. Just let's dissect that. Are you guys getting this? Are you getting how, just psycho, evil, cool this is? Who are not already connected to Ed Dale, so they're not connected to me yet, so I would like them to be connected, but they are connected to people who like me. What a great, that makes total sense. Now, the demographic stuff, I wouldn't do that. I'd be, as Jen, right, that way too broad in terms of who live in Australia. I'd target individually. But you've got this level of communication on a Facebook page. But just look at these numbers. 5,599 impressions, 6,736 impressions, 0.73%. That's almost, average copywriting response rates to just a little status post. Phenomenal. Keep going. 6,700. Where are you seeing that traffic? Where are you seeing that traffic? And in some cases, and let's look at this, 8,372 impressions. Remember what my likes were? 7,000 something. So it's gone. There's an element of viral element to that one, and down it goes. And what's of course interesting is I'm looking each of these posts is very deliberately a different style of post to see what tracks best and what doesn't track best. Look at this one, 10,376 impressions. It's just it's beyond ignoring.
The important thing to note here too, Ed, is that every single time someone comments on a post on your page, it shows up on their news feed, and all of their friends see it. So this is really, really powerful stuff. So if you have a fan page and someone feels inclined to post on it, that's fantastic. You want that as much as possible, because every single time they post, it goes to all of their friends. And all of their friends see that they're interacting on this page. And the chances of people liking a page that their friend is interacting on are huge. So the average person has about 150 friends on Facebook. And so every single time one person comments, you're looking at a potential of 150 impressions just from that one comment. So if you can start generating posts that are controversial or exciting or interesting, or videos or photos or any sort of interactive kind of content where you're asking them deliberately for their feedback, that's the best way to go.
No, totally.
Jen, so far we've been concentrating on the traffic aspect of Facebook. Could we just segue slightly over across to the sort of conversion side of things? Could you make some general comments on the sorts of things that tend to work well on Facebook from a conversion perspective? So once you've received the click, and let's say you've sent it to your profile or to your fan page, what sort of things are tending to work well from a conversion perspective on Facebook?
Okay, so before you use any paid advertising on Facebook, especially to a fan page, I recommend that you preload your fan page with a good couple of days of interesting posts, so that when people land there, they have things to interact with. If you start sending traffic and they land on your fan page and they don't interact with you within the first 24 hours, then you will forever be lost in their system. You want to make sure that people interact with you in that first 24 hours. They take some sort of action on your fan page in that first 24 hours, and then you will show up in their news feed, because Facebook see that your fan page is relevant to them, So what we recommend is that people post a video, a short video of anything, of just you got a new computer and you're opening the box. I mean, anything. It doesn't have to be necessarily related to your topic as such. The same thing with photos. Take photos of you and the people you work with, or take photos of anything that's happening in your office, and load up your fan page with photos and videos to get people, once they land there, to take some sort of action. One secret tip is to create a series of photos that are more than 3, because then what happens is when you post all of those together on your fan page, it says, at the bottom, it says, this is, photos, there are 5 more photos. And that drives people automatically to click on the photos to see them, all of them. Does that make sense? So then once they click, and then they open up all 5 photos to see them, then they've interacted. And
so you're looking for an engagement. You're looking for an immediate engagement with your traffic.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's right. And it's pretty simple to do if you know what to do. And videos, photos, and provocative sort of questions and discussions are the best way to go. It's easiest with videos and photos.
If people are looking at my page, they'll notice I desperately try wherever I possibly can to get a photo or at least some sort of image with the thing, because A, it's free, and B, why I started doing that had nothing to do with traffic or interaction, and had everything to do that I look at Facebook a lot through Flipboard. Now, for those of you who don't have an iPad, you probably don't even know what I'm talking about, but Flipboard is an extraordinary application if you have the iPad. It's just an amazing way of interacting with Facebook for your personal stuff, personal profile and so on. And I noticed there that when I love pictures, when you look at stuff more when there's a picture there.
It's more appealing.
It's much more appealing. So I started doing that. But then I started noticing, and if you had a look down here, of course, with the tests, is I started noticing that the impressions I was getting for non-picture posts compared to picture posts, it's chalk and cheese. So it really does make a difference. But it's very interesting. And Richard, thank you so much, because this is absolutely a great statement, which is, okay, fan page is great, but how do we monetize it for all the views and comments? And this is what we're talking about. And that's why I've got this thing on the screen at the moment. I'm almost hesitant to do this, but hey, this is what Challenge Plus is all about, showing you where the money is. I did a very extreme experiment with my Facebook fan page, and that was advertising and promoting a webinar that we did with Caro McCordy, which was the offline hero. By the way, great. If you hadn't caught that, it was a really good webinar. But most importantly, I actually promoted this webinar, and interestingly to me, that this had, look at that, 2,574 impressions, quite low down on the scale. That was interesting to me. I was interested to wonder whether, because I mentioned webinar, whether that was an issue. As it turned out, we got people to the webinar. We had well over capacity. What was it? We had about 1,300 registered. Yeah. But that in a combination of, that was an email and
that was 2 emails and your Facebook.
Yeah. So okay. So that was it. But will it blend? Because as we are in this, we want to make money, right? I think that, and this is a sneak preview about my 2011 State of the Nation, which I know everybody hangs off there. So the world famous predictions episode, which comes every December. But what are you laughing for, Jen? No, that's right. She's laughing with joy because she can't wait.
That's right. I can't wait to hear it.
But the thing is as a market leadership platform, this strikes me as genius, brilliant. And I'm about to call it, this is a preview. If I spent pretty much every day of 2010 opening up Twitter first, I think 2011 will be opening up Facebook first and interacting through Facebook. It's just far superior. The comments, and I encourage you, if you're listening to this, to jump on my fan page, facebook.com/tubbynerd, and having a look, and just look at the discussion, the interaction. And it's an incredibly powerful element of this, but I don't want to get distracted from, does it make money? bottom line is, after the seminar, we sent out I deliberately didn't send out a follow-up email like we traditionally would. The only thing I did was post it to my fan page. And you'll notice, by the way, 6,589 impressions. So 6,589 people did 0.29% feedback. But here's the most important thing. This received double the sales and this is heresy. Double the sales from this announcement to when we followed up with an email to our entire list. This made double the sales. So very small data, small product, small data set. But this is just one example of that. And I think as the market matures, I think it's almost without question now, as a market leadership thing, it's vital. I mean, those numbers don't lie. Am I going to throw away 6,589 views? Am I going to do that? Are you arrogant enough to do that in your business? Seriously? And it's directly, and something else is the proportions are direct. As you build likes, you build impressions. Would you agree with that, Jen?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and I noticed
although it's
Susan
starting
Fuller's,
to sound.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say Susan Fuller's got 11,000 likes, and she did that with a $62 ad buy.
Yeah.
So, geez, I've got a note to self. Hey, Susan, let's talk. And note to self, I better get that ad buy going. But you can see there is nothing like getting not instantaneous, feedback, measurement thrown in your face, which is why Facebook is so brilliant, to encourage usage, because human beings are, manage and measure. If you throw a figure in front of your brain every day, your brain cannot ignore it. It's impossible. You can't do it, which is why most people don't measure what's going on their websites. Or was it because they don't want to know? Because that may mean that they have to make a decision about something. Facebook does not give you the choice. And it's brilliant. It's genius at that. Because with the amount of traffic that's going through this thing, and perhaps if we segue back, just to give you an example of a mentor that I'm working with, mentoree that I'm working with at the moment, they are doing Facebook pay-per-click demographic advertising on the most esoteric. I thought there was narrow advertising, but this was unbelievably narrow advertising. Now, typically the click-through rate on these Facebook campaigns is quite much smaller than what we would expect in Google as a general rule. But this person delivered, they got 200 people to their test page in 24 hours. And anybody who does the challenge, or anybody who knows what's, that's manna from heaven. That's test traffic. That is, you can see whether you've got something that's got, with that type of traffic coming each day for a $20, $30 spend. That was phenomenal to test an actual thing. So that to me was good. Jen, do you want to comment, because this is important? Click-through rates on Facebook compared to Google, because I think that might, shock people a little bit. But so I think it's worth addressing.
Yes, absolutely. So it's the setup of a campaign is a little bit different in Facebook than it is in Google, in that Facebook will approve your ad up front. I think Google, Google you have to wait. They start showing your ad right away, but then they might come back and stop your ad. Facebook don't do that. They will disapprove your ad up front, so you won't have any question marks. So if your ad gets approved, that's really good, and then you know that you'll be able to promote it on Facebook. So then once you start getting impressions on your ad, really quickly, that first 24 to 48 hours is very, very important. If you don't get enough clicks on your ad, Facebook will stop showing it. So you're looking for a click-through rate. At the moment, you're looking for a click-through rate of 0.20 and above. So the average of Facebook ads click-through rate is 0.03. That's the average. But if your ad is below 0.20% of a click-through rate, then eventually Facebook will stop showing your ad. So it's important to keep testing, try new images, try new ad copy, keep going until you get a really good click-through rate.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when your cost per click will decrease, and you'll start getting much more impressions, many more impressions, and much lower cost per click, the higher your click-through rate is.